that this is another little glimmer of hope into them printing more specialty and different products that we may have an opportunity to see something like that. I mean, Usman, are you familiar with Eck's spectacular musings on what we could have in a Cube product?
Not offhand.
Well, he had a great great flash of insight. I felt like talking about some kind of box set you could give away or run a tournament for, similar to like the Sunday Super Series events that Wizards runs now at Sundays for Grand Prix, that you actually could make a product. End of the day, like, you know, what I was saying, and this has come up in previous episodes, so I don't want to rehash too much what we've already talked about. The Wizards is very aware and cautious of price point on these kind of specialty products, and it's really hard to put something that has that much value out there. And have you really thought much at all about what you would want or even expect in a specialty cube product from Wizards?
I never really gave it a lot of thought. Maybe it's because I'm like, well, that's not going to happen. It's like, like a cube that I would, maybe want designed or something like that. But, yeah, I don't know. Maybe just like, it seems like the ideas that I would want to do just like aren't really feasible. Like if there was a cube that, just like a gold bordered cube that was designed, but like the reserve list. I think reserve list is probably the biggest thing that gets in the way of what I personally would want. Like, and it seems like if they were to do like a modern or a non-reserve list cube, like it seems like it would just be kind of this bad, like, I don't want to say if I'd say bad, but just kind of a awkward compromise that I don't know if it would be very good. I don't know. That's kind of where my thought just kind of ends. Like, it probably isn't where my thoughts should end on it, but I'm just like, this is probably what they'll do.
Do you have like a personal wish list for if you were gonna have Wizards release a cube product? What would be the things that you would want to be in it?
I don't know. I think like I would just want it to be like, the only things I can really think of is just maybe, I think the best one that I think they could do is something like Plane Chase, in terms of releasing individual cards that are kind of like designed for cube. And I think like Wizards is getting, I think they have enough people in and know enough about cube now, where I think before they're like, we can't make anything that's just for cube, because it's just gonna be dumb broken cards that'll break every format. Where I don't think that would necessarily be the case.
I mean, really, all of it. If you ask 9 out of 10 cube builders at this point what they want specifically for cube out of Wizards, they're just going to tell you good black cards.
That too, yeah.
Like, I think a new torment would go a long way to making cube better.
Yeah.
That and a nice standardized Wizards of the Coast box for cube.
Sure.
They would print holiday edition style.
I mean,
that would be sweet.
I mean, part of the problem with that in general, though, is that the size of the cube is as much an expression of anything else as what's in it.
But Wizards has put their hand in. They have the MTGO cube at this point. They've gone as far as acknowledging its existence, throwing their hat in the ring on building, saying what they want to say about it,
making money off of it.
Yeah, and they sky's the limit on these kind of things. And I think that a 20th anniversary holiday release of the special 2-row cube box covered in 20 years of Magic artwork, complete with special Jace the Mind Sculptor back sleeves, just like the cube packs from MTGO. I mean, come on, Commander's Arsenal had Commander back sleeves. Like,
I mean, isn't that basically what From the Vault 20 is going to be, though? Like the anniversary product?
That's different from a cube product.
Well, I mean, yeah, kind of, sure. But I mean, like,
From the Vault 20 or whatever that is?
Yeah, I mean, that's supposed to be, what, it's this winter?
I thought it was supposed to... From the Vault's released in, like, August, usually.
I feel like we would have heard more about it by now.
Not really. We've just had a bombardment of Magic products recently. I don't think that they're in a hurry to jam one more piece of artwork or one more tiny tidbit about a card in the near future. Again, I mentioned this on other podcasts. I think the From the Vault 20 set is going to be a walk down Magic memory lane, and I think that's going to be a good thing. I know that Gavin Verhey is working on that project. I have a lot of faith in what he does. It's not going to be the 20 best Magic. It's like here's the best tournament card of 1995. Bam! Here's the best tournament card of 1997. Bam!
The most miserable cards from Magic's history.
I mean, don't get me wrong.
Stasis, Shahrazad, everything that people had terrible memories about, they should just print in like new art
Oh,
forms.
don't get me wrong. I think you could do a From the Vault 20 style set where it's just the number one card of the year. The card that won the most tournaments.
I would like From the Vault Asshole, where it's just like the cards that, like, over Magic history that no one ever wanted to play against. Right?
Oh, yeah. That'll fly right off the shelves.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, with that
Lose friends and be a dick to everyone you know. Right
It just
in one
comes
box.
built in with, like, fireworks, so you just, like, light it up and it blows up, and it's, like, very cathartic.
There you go.
Stasis, Necro,
Scheherazade.
Recurring Nightmare,
Donate
Tangle
Pollutants?
Wire,
Skull Clamp.
Skull Clamp,
Or
Yeah.
Arcbound Ravager, maybe.
Nah, just Disciple the Vault, really.
Yeah,
you just need your win
Disciple.
condition.
Winter Orb?
Winter Orb.
Well, I think that kind of goes hand in hand with the Stasis.
Yeah.
Unless
that's
you like
true.
glue a Stasis to a.
Make a split card.
We're not making friends either.
Alright.
So Usman, did you get a chance to draft much Modern Masters?
I drafted it once.
And what was your impression of the once?
I liked it. Like, I just drafted, like, blue-white control. The funny thing was, like, granted, I don't even know if I was doing it right, because I hadn't really done a lot of research, but, like, I ended up blue-white with, like some petals of whatever the petals card is, that you draw 3, and then some flavor text about putting the cards on the bottom. And just like a bunch of just blue-white dirtle kind of stuff, and then ended up just going 2-0, and then just like splitting with the person in finals. I'm like, I was like, I don't feel like playing. Do you just want to split? He's like, sure. It's like, all right, cool. And I was like,
Well, that's not the most ringing endorsement ever, but
I don't know. I liked it. Like,
you
it was
liked
fun.
it. Really good. So what the majority of the community out there is saying is that Modern Masters is kind of the closest thing we're going to have to a cube set official release for Magic, and a lot of the would-be professionals that play the game and enthusiasts have kind of backed that statement, saying that this is this amazing mix of Time Spiral and Lorwyn and modern draft formats all coming together. And
one thing I thought was interesting was Aaron Forsyth on Twitter saying that they had never once tested the sealed environment because GP Vegas got designed or developed and put on the table after Modern Masters had already been completed. So they had no... He was just like, I hope this goes well because we didn't test this at all.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, like, they tested the draft format a ton, obviously, because it was designed to be drafted, but, like, for sealed, they had no idea.
That's awful.
I mean, I don't know. I think that's a testament to what this product was supposed to be minute one. I mean, the fact that they knew there was never going to be a pre-release.
Yeah.
It was never like, nothing could have swayed them on that because of the entire development process.
I think, though, if they got burnt, like, by a bad sealed, I think it could have gone really badly. Like...
I mean, if you get 4,500 people to show up in the middle of the desert and none of them have any fun because the format's so bad, like, that's certainly one thing.
I think it's almost impossible. Unless there was, like, really degenerate deck that was easy to make out of certain commons and uncommons.
I thought, if anything, from what I read and the coverage and everything like that, it seemed like it was actually a very interesting sealed format because of the depth of the depth of the format. There were so few like chaff cards that you could really even in 6 packs you could build like 2, even 3 decks, and then your sideboarding plan would be like fully changing what deck you're playing around what your opponent is doing. So like,
and that's
you
the thing
switch
I
from,
like about like cube sealed. Whenever I like pitch it, some people are like, it's just like regular sealed. And it's like, no. Like in regular sealed, there's just so much jank that you can just throw out because the cards are awful. But in just like, cube sealed or like modern master sealed, like there's a lot of depth. And I think from cube sealed, like I'm able to, just like in regular sealed, I'm able to very easily just like go, okay, here we go, and be able to very quickly disseminate like a decent pool. Whereas I think I think that's something that modern masters, like, I think that one of the people like Ethan Fleischer or something said they designed modern masters to be kind of like cube. And I don't know if it was like specifically created to be like, a certain analog directly to cube, but I think there was certainly some of that going on though, just to create like a cube-like environment where like almost none of the cards are awful and you have a lot of choices.
Completely agree. And to me that was kind of the one last topic that I wanted to talk about on the subject of Modern Masters. I think that I don't want to steal from Luis, but I love it. This tarpon has been beaten enough. We don't need to turn it into glue. But we all love it. We all love drafting with it. We wish it was out there even more. But making those comparisons into Cube a lot, one of the things you have a lot of in Modern Masters is the tribal effects and the kind of the redundancy in the cards that you don't necessarily have in all cubes.
Right. It was very much, I think the cube analogs they made in Modern Masters were not necessarily like, oh, this is just a lot of powerful cards. It was like, oh, these are very explicitly linear strategies, fairies, giants, arcane spells, there's some overlap, but like, it's a lot like more like in Cube where, a lot of cubes it's like Reanimator, Tinker Deck, Blue Control, Mono Red Aggro, like, you have these very, like, separate but equal archetypes that people then slot themselves into.
But there are a lot of redundancy in the cards.
Yes.
And so it kind of brings the question back up to me, and maybe adds a little more validity to, maybe instead of, who knows, a year from now, 5 years from now, and this is all theory, I don't think this is going to, this is the path the Cube is definitely on, but are we going to be shifting away from the Cube we once knew as that always singleton format into more kind of pockets of archetypes or these linear strategies that Eck's talking about where you can draft affinity in Cube because there are multiple...
There's like 5 fragments.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Obviously there have been articles and discussions already out there in the last 6 months or so talking about breaking the singleton rule, but how much has Modern Masters brought that conversation more forward with Cube developers and builders, thinking like, hey, Modern Masters was really fun that I could draft giants and have multiples of the same type, goblins, dampen thought, and all these things that you just can't do in Cube. Do you have a strong opinion on that, Usman, or you thought about it at all?
Not a lot, to be honest, but I do think it's definitely something that, I think there's some part of it where like some cards are like essentially doubles or like help to create that a little bit. Like, it's like multiple burn spells, I guess is the best analog I can think of. Or
I was
like
about to say mono red. Like,
my number one example is the number of Llanowar elves in one's cube.
Sure.
Yeah. Oh, and we're getting another one.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't want to sound like an old fogey or I'm just this immovable object on comes of theory, but to me, I'm not today. I'm not only interested in breaking the singleton rule of my cube. I think that not only is that the format I played with for over 6 years, but that's what the expectations are when you sit down to play it. I think that in order to kind of make a move towards something else where expectations across the board are very different, it could happen. I just don't know what it's going to take, but I think that Modern Masters has been an interesting talking point to the concept of what feels like a cube format, but at the same time, you want to have access to all these multiples of the same card.
Personally, I think that one of the drawing points of Cube is, one of the things that makes it fun or interesting, is the sheer amount of variety. I mean, even in something like a 360, where you're drafting every card out of it every time, no two decks are ever going to look the same. Even amongst the same archetypes, you're gonna get, there's so many more cards to see. It's so much more interesting, than just having like, oh yeah, my mono red deck's pretty good. I got 4 of the 6 lightning bolts, or whatever you work it out to be. I think one of the takeaways from Modern Masters that I had was really how deep and how interesting you can make the tribal mechanics. And how interesting that is, people have been making, tribal cubes. That's been a thing. It's not extremely common, but I hear about it, on the regular. And having something where you're seeing this format where a lot of the primary strategies are fairies, goblins, giants, these different tribal things is something that's like, well, if you were to take a cube environment, can you expand the concept of doing the tribal thing, to the point of where it would actually be interesting to draft on a regular basis and have a huge number of different tribes all support it.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely I've never actually drafted a tribal cube, but yeah, it's one of those things I hear a lot about, but I've just never drafted it before. But it's definitely
they're like the white whale. You hear a lot about them. You never see them in the wild.
I would rather run into one of those than an EDH cube. But what I've heard about EDH cubing sounds...
Oh, that sounds absolutely miserable.
Yeah.
I can't believe that's a thing. I still don't really believe you.
No, people do it.
I cannot in good conscience accept that human beings willingly subject themselves to that.
Usman, are you familiar with the EDH cube environment?
I've heard of it, and like people send me like information about it, but I just haven't like. It sounds like a bad excuse, but I never got around to like looking at it.
It's got to be a trick or like a trap of some kind.
Now again, this is still kind of the White Buffalo scenario where I have not actually witnessed it in the wild, but the theory crafting and the talk that has happened in my direction has always been like, well, yeah, the packs are bigger. Sometimes they're seeded with generals. Sometimes there's a separate general drafting situation that may happen in different varieties. All in all, according to the people I've talked to, the draft process takes upwards of 3 hours.
What?
And then you play Magic.
And it's EDH, so that game of Magic takes 6 hours.
It's not necessarily one-on-one. Yeah, you have to draft a 100-card deck that fits a general.
What?
Exactly.
So, like, you have to get the general ahead of time and then lock in your picks to that general.
Not necessarily. Depending on what type of this format you play, all the generals could just be in the packs.
Was that so you would like audible halfway through?
Exactly,
like,
Screw it. But it's okay because you're drafting like...
I saw a Sliver Queen.
You're drafting like 1,000 cards between all these people, so you're probably going to have a shot.
You like clearly like... You windmill slam Sliver Queen for his pick, right?
I don't know.
And you just do whatever you want, right? Like your 5 colors.
You're EDH cubing or whatever. You're already doing whatever the hell you want.
You're clearly not doing whatever you want. You are clearly there under threat of violence.
Now, so the thing to me wasn't, when I was trying to understand it better, I wasn't trying to poke holes in it, but when it was being explained to me, what really got me was this is like an 8-hour thing that people get together and do, and even the people I've talked to about it doesn't happen that frequently because it takes this much time. And to me, what I really had to stop them and ask was, why don't you just regular cube like 3 times? Or why don't you just...
Or like cube once, then play EDH.
Well,
like, alternate.
I've gone to, Saturday, weekend, adult man sleepover type settings where we're playing Magic.
Didn't come out.
There's no good way to say these things, are there?
No. You should crash it at your bro's place.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
Where we'll cube draft, and the guys that get done early, they break out the EDH decks, and they're playing during the downtime, much like Magic was supposed to be the downtime of D&D. There's time and place for all these things. But what doesn't make any sense to me is setting up this long day where it's like we're going to draft this thing once, and it's going to be epic.
And it's not even going to be for anything. Like, if you're doing that, like, how are you not, like, minimum 100 cookies per game?
We don't know.
That seems like it seems like a really huge time investment.
Exactly.
You gotta at least have a trophy, right?
I hope so.
Like,
yeah.
You're doing this, like, max once a month. Like,
well, I gotta say, we are just dead on in segues this evening. But speaking of trophies, and speaking of cubing, our Cube League that we run is about to restart. So we have updated our Cube achievements. And for most people, that's probably unexciting because you don't play in our league. But what it does do is it gives us a couple opportunities. One is to go over the fun and interesting interactions that take place in our own cube and talk about how great the league is. But also ask people like Usman if they've ever considered starting something like a Cube League or if they've even heard of such a thing.
I used to participate in a Cube League where I think it was like a $20 pay-in.
Okay.
And I was in it for a while, but like my work schedule like made it so that I couldn't, because it started at 6, and then like the Cube League started at 6. So I'm like, well, I'm not gonna ask early off work for this, So, it's just like, well, I guess I'm not in this anymore. But it was fun while it lasted. Like, it was like the only thing that I really didn't like about it was the one I did was like it met every month, and it was like once every month, and I think it lasted like 3 months, and the payout was kind of lopsided. It was like, I forget how the points were out, but it wasn't. How do you do like the points for it? Like the one they did was like if you got like first or second, it was very much based on like your tie breaks or something. It's like if you went to the last match and you lost, you were 2-1. But if you like lost and then won, the points that you got were much worse.
That's thankfully we don't run a system that weird.
We just run it like match wins are 3 points, draws are 1 point, losses are no points, and if you 3-0, you get a bonus point, and if you hit an achievement, you get a bonus point.
Nice.
And we were missing one of the critical things that might also apply to someone like Usman, who is a a working individual. We have a system because we don't, we do it weekly. It happens, same day, same time every week. But what helps for those that, they don't want to sign up at the beginning because it's like, well, I don't want to commit every single Tuesday night for the next 3 months or whatever, is that within a 4-week period or within a month period, you get full match points for 3 out of 4 weeks of a given month. So if you show up to all 4 weeks, the 4th week your points are adjusted differently. So for a match win, instead of getting 3 points, you just get 1 point. So you can still kind of score bonus points, but really people that show up 3 out of 4 weeks a month are going to be competitive in the league. They don't have to feel the pressure of having to show up every week after week.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing I remember doing was like I don't want to miss a week because I'd be so far behind. And like sometimes there was one time when I was just like doing terrible, but like some people who were doing well didn't show up, and that's the only way I ended up winning. I was like, got lucky there, I guess.
Yeah.
Now, did you just organize it like amongst yourselves? Did you run it at a house or a store? Or...
We ran it at a store. It's called Newcastle Comics it's in St. Louis, and the person, his name is Eric. He ran it. And he pretty much did everything in terms of that. But people that just just showed up, and that's all they really did for it, which is fine.
Did you guys do did you do it in conjunction with the store, or did you just kind of use their space?
They did it in conjunction with the store. Like they ended up staying having the store open later than it normally did. But I think it was done mostly with the store because the payout was in store credit.
No, that's cool. Yeah, that's definitely the system that we've set up in place. And we talked about it. We kind of did an episode more devoted to Cube League and its structure. And I think it's really great and important because I feel like a lot of Magic player groups that like to cube a lot are very similar to kind of the D&D guys that come and just kind of set up camp inside of a store. And I really wanted our group to try to contribute to the game store environment as much as possible. And as much as we are opening and willing to let pretty much anyone walk up and play with us, we wanted to do our best to kind of buy in and feel like we were contributing and renting that space.
I think part of it too, at least for me, is that it's kind of like the fantasy football thing, where like it's more fun if there's something on the line.
Yeah.
Like if playing for fun every once in a while is fine, and like you get to like we were playing for fun tonight, and the deck I drafted was completely insane and really fun and crazy, but like at the same time, like being able to like actually like, okay, I'm gonna draft like a serious deck, like actually try and win and like work towards this goal. It is a good balance, and I think when people when you even have like a minor amount of something on the line, people just take the entire thing more seriously, and it leads to a better drafting experience. It leads to a better play experience and feedback about cards in the cube.
Yeah, because there's more incentive for them to be like...
Yeah.
Although sometimes it can lead to like people getting like... I'm trying to think of the best term to say, but like sometimes they'll like take losses more like to heart, and they may take it out like feedback wise on like the designer. For example, they may say like, "Oh, I totally lost." Like it depends, I guess, on the people themselves. But like someone, if they were to get like whiny about it, it'd be like, "Oh man, I totally lost."
Players could end up being like hypercritical of card choices based on what beat them or what they lost while holding.
You should cut this card from the cube. It totally beat me last week.
Or like, man, this card is. You should totally put in. I mean, you get that kind of stuff anyway.
Yeah.
But it's like, man, you should totally put in this card. Man, then my deck would have been so good if I had this. Like, you should have put in like even just like last month, I drafted somebody's a peasant a common uncommon cube, and I didn't really know the people, so I didn't really talk that much. I'm a pretty non-talkative person in general. It's kind of ironic.
Says the guy on the podcast. I love it.
Yeah, go figure. But like, so I didn't want to like rock the boat. But one of the people was like saying like, man, you should totally put in Psychic Spiral. That card would be so good in this deck. And I remember just like shaking my head. I'm like, that card would be like, I'm gonna go break my non-curse rule that I for some reason put on myself. But I'm just like, our card would be just dog shit. Like, that card would just be terrible. Like,
yeah.
And I didn't want to like pipe in and say anything, but I was like, that card would just be terrible. Like, no.
Yeah.
And I think the person was like, kind of gave a wishy-washy answer, or just like just like no, or just like, ma'am, I'll think about it.
Yeah,
Just like
it'll go under consideration.
Yeah.
I mean, we get kind of a buy because our cube is 700 cards, so...
Most of the stuff people ask for is already here.
Yeah. I generally enjoy saying, yes, that card is there. Yes, that card is there. No, we do not support Storm. Yes, that card is there.
I mean, I think for the most part, it's interesting, hearing feedback from players and suggestions from people or what they like or they don't like. I feel like is almost like it's like being on the flip side of like the Blizzard forums for like Diablo or like World of Warcraft, where like the player base is complaining to like a game developer about like this class is overpowered or this character needs buffs or these items or whatever, and like you kind of get like the reverse side being like a cube designer where people are like, I don't like this card for this stupid reason, or I want this really narrow thing because I want it and I can't justify it. It's like, I've heard these arguments before, and I've been on the other side of them a lot, complaining about other things. Like, it's kind of like interesting getting like the other side of it to some degree.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, we run a cube league. We consider it to be a pretty good success. We definitely encourage cube owners out there that have the same kind of passion, that want to have a regular play group, cultivate it, get feedback, to start those kind of things up. Go back and listen to that episode if you haven't. Obviously, you're all regular listeners / viewers, so you're all intimately familiar with the details, so I won't bother going over it. But instead, we will go over updates to our own cube achievements, because with the last season, we were... I don't know about you, but we were surprised.
I think we went big on the list and big on the demands that we were asking of people.
We had... I think this is perfect timing. We're recording this the day Duels of the Planeswalkers releases on many forums, and Magic not only has the Planeswalker Point world made it so Magic players have to chase those same Xbox-style achievements that now seem like commonplace for gamers, but with the cube achievements, you get to kind of integrate that with your own world of cubing. So for us, yes, we went with an amalgamation of things we thought were almost impossible to do, but we'd heard of maybe happening, or maybe we're lucky enough to witness. If that could come together,
Cube Achievements is basically Magical Christmas Land storybook. Like that's in a lot of ways what it is. Like, these are, it's like best case scenarios.
Or I was about to die, and then this happened.
Yeah, yeah.
Or you'll never believe.
Right. A lot of these stemmed from the like legend cube tales of yore.
Exactly.
Of like
I cast a Sliver Queen on turn 3 with 5 different colors of mana.
You're like, what?
I don't know.
No way! How'd you do that? Like, huh? So so last season the list was what, 40?
It was 40 achievements. At the end of the season, we accomplished what, 6?
6.
Yeah.
So clearly,
we lightened the load a little bit. We took some requirements off of things,
turned them down a little bit.
At the same time, we removed ones that no longer apply because cards are gone, and I felt like we brought in things that are a little bit easier.
We incorporated new cards as well.
And the last aspect, before we go too far away, also there's Magic history. There are cube achievements for accomplishing things that were possibly world championship winning decks over the course of Magic history.
Is that like the Kai and the Covetous Dragon Wildfire one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or like cast Armageddon while controlling Urnham Jin.
Nice.
So, some of these are historical based, others of these are luck. For example, Cascade Maelstrom. Cast Maelstrom Wanderer, Cascade into Bituminous Blast, or Bloodbraid Elf, or Shardless Agent, any two of them.
Yeah.
So,
very excited by that one.
But, some of them, win a match while only casting hybrid and gold cards.
Thank you. I lowered the requirement on the Force Spike one as well.
What's the Force Spike one?
All you have to do is Force Spike, successfully counter a spell with Force Spike with converted mana cost greater than 7.
Oh.
So
nice.
The thing about doing this through the league that's cool is that every time one of these things happens, the player who realizes it, announces it to the room, whatever, and they immediately get a booster pack if they're
from the Cube League prize pool.
So it's not just like, oh, congrats, like here's a like hearty handshake, whatever. It's like, oh no, you actually like you went out of your way to do this. Like, here's a booster pack. Like, you get a point in the league. Like, it counts towards the ending, standings, but also like you immediately get like a.
We want that little rush of endorphins that we all have every time the Xbox makes that little boopy sound of.
Yeah.
You did a wheelie while playing Grand Theft Auto 4. Congratulations.
Yeah. I will say I did get one of these today if it had counted.
Oh, it was hilarious. We were playing today we had a 10-man draft, and all kinds of stuff was flying around that we didn't even accomplish during all 12 weeks of the last league.
It's true. Like, had this been a league week we would have gotten like at least 3 or 4 issues.
I think more than that. So if we scroll back up to the top, again, we have some pretty classics. Like win a game where you cast Upheaval followed by Psychotog in the same turn and you win the game. We have a Seismic Swans combo, like Swans Grenargle and Seismic Assault in play. We have some really easy ones. It's almost like kind of a...
like gimmies.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Like gimmies?
Well, hopefully, but it's more of almost like a litmus test for Cube.
They're like archetype gimmies.
Where you gotta like win a match by having Honor of the Pure and Crusade in play at the same time. Or, sorry, win a game.
Nice.
So it's like, if you can't do that, like...
Maybe those cards shouldn't be in the Cube anymore. We don't really know.
Yeah.
Then we go the other direction. Like, we have some really weird ones, like I'm the Guild Leader. Like, win a match where you have all 6 cards of a 2-color combination
in your deck
from the Cube in your deck.
So, like,
you have the Pernicious Deed, the Putrefy, the Spirit Monger, the Maelstrom Pulse. We've gotten really close on that one, but we've never... I can remember multiple decks where I've had 5 out of 6 and just never saw the last card. But stuff like that. So we updated it for this go-around. We made things a lot easier. We hope that it'll be even more exciting. But in the last couple of weeks, we've just been kind of farting around without the Cube League. We've seen a lot more of them kind of go off than we expected. Someone briberied for another player's Blightsteel Colossus and casually won the game. That happened. We had somebody tooth and nail for both the Eldrazi and casually win the game.
Yeah.
One time in Cube, I tooth and nailed, didn't pay the Entwined Ride sneak attack, and I was like, I have 2 red mana, but I'm not going to pay the Entwined, so I can just kill you.
Nice. That's a good one.
Giving you guys haste. I like it.
I took infinite turns.
You took infinite turns today. A mildly convoluted infinite turns.
That's the best kind of infinite turns.
So you had a...
You should do it.
You had a Falcon Wrath Aristocrat.
So it was Falcon Wrath Aristocrat, Eternal Witness, Oversold Cemetery, and Time Walk. So every turn I would cast Eternal Witness, get back Time Walk, cast Time Walk, sack Eternal Witness to Falcon Wrath Aristocrat, making Falcon Wrath Aristocrat bigger because Eternal Witness is a human, and then on my upkeep get it back with Oversold Cemetery. So I looped that way. It was pretty sweet.
Wow.
You even had to activate your Bazaar of Baghdad twice to find a blue source, because the first 2 turns you took were off of a Vivid Land.
We're off of Vivid Land, yep. So I was digging with Bazaar of Baghdad to make that one go off. That deck was awesome, if you couldn't figure that one out.
1-2 today, didn't you, with that one?
I lost to Scavenging Ooze.
Scavenging Ooze.
Yeah, Scavenging Ooze kind of just destroyed me by its lonesome.
So yeah, I mean that's our update for Modern Masters. We talked about the cards we changed over there. It was actually ended up being quite a few, but good times had by all. Did you have any other questions for Usman? Since we've jury rigged all the tinfoil together to get his signal into us today.
One thing I always ask actually of everybody is like, so everybody in Cubes, whether it's ours or anybody else's. Has like one pet project, favorite little non-standard, whether it's like
would you call it a niche something?
Sure, niche archetype, a little thing. So pet project. So for your Cube personally, what do you think is your pet project, your niche thing, your special,
your lonesome dove?
Yeah.
I don't know if I have anything really that's super out of the ordinary in terms of that. I know way back in the day I was pushing aggro really hard when cubes weren't, and I think a lot of the cubes that I draft, in the Midwest, tend to still be really bad in terms of aggro support, which is why I tend to push that. But now I think the memo has gotten out on that, so I'm not really sure if there's anything really like niche that I guess I push, like, or that I'd say like, hey, his cube does this, like, nothing really, like.
So you're two things. One, you're way too mainstream. You don't try to do anything cool anymore. You're the MTV of things that are played in Cube.
God, I'm MTV.
This Cube is sold out. It's gone mainstream.
Oh shit! He saw right through it. It was an insult. And then secondly, there's no kind of wall to hide behind for all of those people that love Dragon Cube anymore. That aggro is here. Creatures are better than they ever have been and continue to have been on that upspring for the last few years. There's nowhere to hide. It's pretty important to mention. So now you're.
Yeah, I don't know if like I remember pushing blue aggro for a bit and then just like not having the space for it anymore. Like I think it's like one of those things I try to do is just like every once in a while just like try new stuff. But I don't know if that's really like. I guess that's the thing people have noticed in my cube. It's like. He always like tries new stuff out. Like one of the people who cubes with me. Shout out to Wizard's Wagon, by the way, in St. Louis. That's the place I usually do Cube League, not Cube League, just do Cube at. And one of the people, his name is Ryan. He's one of the hundreds of Ryans there, I guess. Like he usually says like, hey, his cube. He usually like tries new stuff out, and then I think that's maybe a thing in my cube. Actually, we'll say that. But I always like try new stuff out. Like I'm just like sure. Let's I'll try this new thing out. Like I'll try out new Garrick, even if it looks terrible. And it probably is. I want to try it out anyway.
That's quite the commendation, considering you're the guy with the 460 card cube, and to me that would leave no room to try anything new or different. I think you'd be pretty locked into everyone's feelings on these are the best cards in Magic. Don't you dare try anything else.
Oh, I don't really care. Like, if people want to, like, complain... I remember there was one guy who was, like, super unhappy that I took Teferi, Mage of Zalfir, out of my cube. And, like, he mysteriously, like, never wanted to draft my... Like, found excuses to not draft cube anymore. I'm like, okay, if you're gonna...
That's all it took, was just losing Teferi?
Yeah, and I think he was, like, whining about... Like, I think he was at least visibly complaining about it. I'm like, well, I'm not gonna... I mean, not to sound egotistical, but I'm not going to change my cube that people around the world have consulted just because you're whining about Teferi. So,
I'm gonna add a little more credence to that by saying that recently, especially since we've been trying to investigate other blue creatures that might actually attack ever, Teferi has had a surprisingly big target on his back recently. I keep looking at that card being like triple blue, and there rarely are two decks that are very counter heavy trying to duke it out where this is really the big windmill anymore. He's just kind of like Tangle Spider for triple blue, and that's really not all that exciting.
I've said this for a long time, which is I'm a fan of blue aggro because it makes blue worse, and anything you can do to bring blue back down to where the other colors are, the better.
So
yeah, we're saying that about Phantasmal Bear on the last episode, like it was a blank or a proxy or something.
Right, yeah. I mean, I recently, I felt like I gave a Stay of Execution to Standstill in the cube, and I thought that there were a lot more angles of attack for that card than people were giving credence for.
Standstill's a nice card. Like, I'm a fan. Like, most of the time it's just a draw 3. It's like, okay, you want to just not crack it? Who cares?
There are always it's always awkward when people like really. I had an opponent who went turn 1, Island, Mana Vault, Standstill, go. And, like, didn't realize what he had got himself into for, like, 3 turns.
Wow.
Yeah.
Who won that game?
I'm pretty sure I did.
I can't remember.
He had to crack it, so, I mean, I got the free draw cards.
He didn't have to. He could have just played 3 more land and then gone back to parity.
What?
I remember, like, there was one time I think opponent, like, suspended Ancestral Visions, and then... Like, next turn, played Standstill.
Genius.
And I was like, okay.
Genius maneuver.
And I was like, okay.
Well, that's all.
And my deck wasn't particularly fast, so I was like, okay, sure. Tick, tick, tick. I'll draw 3, you draw 3.
Well, what felt like many episodes ago, Eck and I had a very heated debate over, there was only space for one, Merfolk Looter or Azurmage. And I stuck firmly in the Azurmage camp, saying that bitch gonna attack, it's gonna be good. And to this day, I feel like we've stood strong by that, and it's worked out pretty well.
I mean, I love me a Merfolk Looter.
I don't dislike it. Don't get me wrong.
I'll play Merfolk Looter at the net loss on a land, as I did today, and love it.
Okay. A couple of
so good.
A couple other things have been coming up recently for us. We recently, and this is the very last update, we cut Aurelius Fury out of the cube, and it kind of brought up this talking point of like, man, what are like some huge letdowns? Because it really feels like in the last calendar year, or the last 12 months, there's been no card that's been like more, everyone thinks this is going to be the hottest hotness in all of Hot Town, and then just falls flat on its face. Could you think of another card that's been hyped for Cube, or anything you played with in the last year that just didn't work out?
Oh, man. New Garrick? No, I'm kidding.
Already calling it.
Already calling it?
Future Usman got on the call and already told us it's happening.
Yeah.
I maybe think Garrick's probably a little better than... I think it may be better than we're saying. I'm going to give it some more testing over the next week or so, but... cards that have really disappointed me. Liliana of the Dark Realms I thought may have been better than it ended up being. Like, I thought it would be a decent card draw engine, and I still think it's better than the reception is, but I still just didn't have room for it.
You just really needed that last point of loyalty to show up on it when it was cast. You just didn't.
Oh yeah, that would be like... Well, even if you could just, like, play it and then just kill something, it's like, okay. At least it did something. Some other cards that really have disappointed.
You can also take the inverse here, and you can tell us about a card that you just did not think was going to get the job done, that was printed in the last year, that you now just swear up and down by.
Was Frost Titan printed this year, or was that last year? I think it was last year.
You're calling way too far back. Like, I can remember. I think I was still guesting on your show when you guys were talking bad mouthing on Frost Titan.
Yeah. Well, I think I ended up catching up on that. But Liliana's Reaver, that's a card I tested. I've been testing out, and it's just been so disappointing.
Oh, okay. So that's a card that you would consider to be almost overrated.
Well, at first I was like, maybe this card has potential. Because I remember seeing, like, I don't know if I saw on Twitter, just like maybe other discussion where people were happy about it. Like, man, this card could be really good. It gets in, and it just like never got in there. It just always died.
No, I'm still in that camp. I mean, that was one of the top 3, probably, maybe 5.
Yeah,
easily top 3 to 5 cards from M14.
I mean, when we
that I was excited to play with.
Yeah, that one looked like a very spicy meatball.
Is it? I mean, it's a 4-power.
It just died all the time. I was like, cast it, and granted, not to sound like a jerk, but like the person who played it a lot of the time was just bad. Like, we're talking. Picking Bone Shredder over Mox Jet, pick one bad.
Okay, well, maybe that's not the best way to...
Sample size might be a...
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of the other times when, like, it would be played, like, it would just, even when drafted by, like, the good drafters, it would just die so often, or it would just be irrelevant. Like, even with Death Touch, a lot of the time it was just rendered irrelevant a lot of the time. It was just like, just come on, get in there once. And it would get in there once.
It does definitely fall into the camp of what so many creatures are, where like they're just like, this would be so awesome if it ever connected, and they never connect.
It's like every single creature I wish was a 2/4.
Yeah,
like Lotion Thief. Like if that card had just been a 2/4,
how much better? So much better if Notion Thief was a 2/4.
Yeah.
Oh my god, they're going to be insane.
Who knows? Who knows if Reaver will end up in that same camp? I mean, maybe Death Touch isn't the best card to be having these arguments with, but
I've been a little disappointed. Like, it's probably not gonna. I don't think when I do my quote unquote official update to my list, I don't think it's gonna last. Unfortunately, which is kind of sad because I wanted to like it, but this never did anything.
I'm a big sucker for zombies at this point. Also, I don't know why, but like I always want Gravecrawler to be awesome. I have this strange affinity for Gravecrawler, and I always want to cast it out of my graveyard.
That's
so
cool.
Anything that's like a casual zombie, I'm like, yep, get it in there.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Gravecrawler is my favorite card from Dark Ascension, but I don't know if I go that deep on it in the cube. Now, do you, Usman, do kind of very formalized updates for your cube? Because, a lot of people look towards, your podcast, your blog, your list for advice and information. Do you feel that you kind of need to do updates on the regular, or how do you do it?
I've been overdue for it. I've just been really busy lately. But, like usually I try to do an update, like, whenever I can. Like, I don't tend to do a big update at the time a new set comes out. It's just, like, that's when I just feel like updating a list. Like, I think it's without exaggeration that every week something gets changed. Like, I'm just like, I'm gonna try this card. Like, I'm gonna try Cyclonic Rift over something else. Or Cyclonic Rift is another card that surprised me in a good way, and Far and Away. Ooh, Far Away. Oh dear.
Far Away is hot. Now you were a big proponent then of the kind of proxied up immediately, throw it into the mix day zero, and to get mileage out of cards.
Yeah, and I think that helps a lot. I think Parnell did an article about that. Shout out to Justin Parnell, by the way. Like, he actually quoted me in a tweet, which is pretty. He quoted a tweet that I did, which was like, "Whoa, what is this?" I was talking about and it wasn't necessarily about just like cube, but I said something like, if you end up making mistakes and you don't actually learn from the mistakes, I'll see if I can actually find the quote on here. But yeah, usually I'm just a big fan of just like proxying something like day one and getting real information on it, because a lot of the times like theory crafting can be useful, and a lot of times it is, but sometimes like even with cards like Aetherling, and I think he noted that he did the same thing when he evaluated, but like it can be easy to fall for like I don't know if I'd say talking points or maybe just like traps in evaluation. And the quote is, if you aren't willing to learn from and admit from prior mistakes, you aren't actually improving your skills, you're just keeping up. And I think that's a big thing, and I think just testing stuff out definitely helps with that. Like, I have a friend who and just like re-evaluating cards, and I think like proxying helps, but like I have a friend TJ, shout out to TJ as well. I'm going all these good shout outs. But like, I think we were talking about cards, and he was like, I'm trying to think of one of the cards he recommended to me. I think it was, I should totally know this, but I remember like every once in a while he would recommend a card, and I'm like, huh, good call. I messed up on that one, but I'm gonna see.
No, it's for the listeners after the fact, this is from Justin Parnell's article on Star City Games from Monday, June the 24th. Definitely go check that out. It's a great, honest piece about how you as cube builders should really take ownage of things and be willing to go back and reevaluate. But for me, I almost have more fun finding new ways to incorporate cards from prior sets into cube than I do the excitement level of spoiler season for a new set. I feel like there's so many other people out there that have already kind of taken up that sale that I don't really need to. Like, I'd rather spend my time going back and kind of re-looking at older cards and being like, okay, well, has this had new life breathed into it? Or what problems have we had in recent drafts? Or are there any other cards out there that already exist that we can try to reincorporate?
Yeah.
And that's a lot of fun.
I think I'm always a big fan of, whenever we do updates, I always try and pick like one pet section that I feel like has been neglected for a while, and like go back through Gatherer and like do very deep searches to try and find like diamonds in the rough. Like a good example is like the Wildfire update.
Yeah, I was actually just gonna say like the Wildfire stuff, like looking for 5 toughness guys.
Yeah, like.
Hey, but ultimately that kind of ended up being more of a plan that fell a little more flat for us. But it's still an ongoing process. I mean, it meant that recently we brought back Etched Monstrosity when we had like played that back when we were trying to push 5-color a little bit more. But now you had just a colorless 5/5 for 5 that acted in a very different fashion and opened up new and alternative ways to play with it.
Yeah, I mean, like stuff like the other example too is Black. And trying to like find anything in the history of Black that was any good ever, like all these different. So do we do graveyard? Do we do zombies? Do we do discard? Do we do whatever? Like so like lately it's been the Oath of Ghouls Oversold Cemetery plan, and like trying to go deep on that, and like Stronghold Rats, and stuff like that. Like trying to find like weird, stuff that everybody's forgotten about, falling through the cracks. I think like it's important, like not every time you update your cube to do that for everything, but like if you're going to make a significant change anyway, you should find a section to look at and try and go real deep on it.
I think it's a good idea to just like, I don't know if going deep is the right word, but I think it's definitely good to critically evaluate stuff in your cube. Like, I think it's one thing to just look at like a cube and then just like find a cube where just like nothing is just inherently bad, and where someone could just be complacent. And I think that touches what on you're saying is like, look at a cube and just like saying, well, there's nothing bad here. There's nothing like embarrassing or something. So
yeah,
you can always use blue as the example. Like why if it ain't broke, don't ever fix it with blue. And yet we've been constantly trying to find new angles of attack. I mean, you know, with red, it was like, oh, it's just 90 cards that are mostly burn spells, and they always do their job fine. Well, it's like, well, let's mix it up a little bit. I don't want to be, if you pick up a red card in cube, that you're only going to do one thing, and that's why we've brought in Delver of Secrets. We're trying out these Phantasmal Bears. We're trying to incorporate more cards like Teferdurm. We wish there were more and better ones, but those are areas we're trying to explore. Definitely.
Maybe there'll be a beast in M14 with 5 toughness.
Yeah, and then we'll have a reason to bring in contested glyphs.
The ground Thundermaw Hellkite.
And the worst case scenario is if even if it doesn't work out, you just take the card out. It's not. And that's another reason why I'm a big fan of proxying and just trying stuff out. It's if a card ends up just not doing anything, you're not out anything. If you proxy, it's I'll proxy Liliana's Reaver. I didn't have to buy an intro deck or whatever to get it. It's just this card ended up not being that great, so I'm just gonna cut it. And
it's tough for us. I still kind of walk a semi-professional line with Wizards of the Coast where they have a very strong opinion on not acknowledging proxies, and that's just not their business they're in. So it's hard for me to still want to work with them and openly say, oh yeah, just go print out all your cards. And it's something I've had to address more recently on podcasts. But I think that the more you can find arenas to test things before you commit to them is a huge deal. And I have definitely suffered from that in the past with Cube. I was always somebody that, for the last 2 years, would really pride myself on, day one of set release, after F&M, we would have a Cube draft, and the newest cards would be in the Cube, ready to go, and we would be playing with them. It would be a great time. And obviously that's more of a financial commitment than people would want to make if they're just on the fence about Young Pyromancer or how much fun Great Whale might be, or if it's just terrible and cards that we wouldn't want to play with.
Is it worth the Your Mama jokes?
Oh my god, I love Great Whale. That is I don't think there could be possibly a better card from M14 that I'm gonna like.
I never
more
thought of Your Mama jokes with Great Whale, but
oh my god, I love it. Little part of me just really wants to go back off the deep end and put Zodiac Rooster, Raging Cougar, Great Whale, just throw all this stuff back in the cube. Anytime you dealt combat damage with Zodiac Rooster, people were enjoying themselves thoroughly.
What did Zodiac? Did it have a land walk or something?
It's a green and a 1 for a 2/1 planeswalk.
Your standard chicken.
Yeah, you're getting beat around with the cock. That's all I'm saying.
That's true.
I also just like Grizzly Bear versus Chicken. Fair fight. Magic.
Or a bird of paradise, wielding a sword or warhammer.
I just envision it like the chickens from Legend of Zelda.
Legend of Zelda, yeah.
Yeah,
the
hit
pissed
them
off
with
chickens.
a sword a bunch of times and they attack you.
Yeah, exactly. They're out for blood.
Well, despite the fact that our live viewership is raging from the tens, slightly over tens of people that were here earlier.
30s.
Yeah, we're up in the mid-30s now at the middle of nowhere. Usman is 2 hours ahead of us. It is very much the dead of night where he is. Last call has come and gone, so we should probably start to wrap things up over here. I am not a shout-out-esque person, but you should definitely tell our listeners where to find you and your great content.
Oh, sweet. Okay. Yeah, I usually post on Twitter at Usman the Red. I write every other week on Star City Games about Cube. Every other Tuesday. So I think me and Parnell usually I think we usually rotate. So usually on Tuesday, that's when Star City has Cube content.
Should we be expecting more MTGO videos from you soon, or are you going back to more written?
That was probably the last one I did. That was just the last one I had, and I don't know,
So there's no more in the barrel for the Cube Drafts videos.
I think there might be one, but I think that was the last one, and God, getting timed out. That was so bad.
Spoilers.
Spoiler. In the last video, I timed out because A, the beta crashed. B, I'm incompetent.
Look, let's go with the beta crash. You're an excellent, devoted customer of Wizards and
you're
MTGO
providing
product.
Excellent feedback that they will clearly take into account.
It was not
forcing us to use
not user error, not user incompetence. It was interface shortcomings that led to that.
remember there was like 10,000 like Wake Thrasher triggers that I could have just stacked. Apparently pressing F10. But I was like, oh, okay, click, 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 click. I'm like, this is gonna take forever. But I don't know. Yeah. And I update the cube. I have a cube blog at I'dratherbeCubing.wordpress.com. Right now I have a blog post that I've been meaning to do for a while about ranking the 5 swords in cube. I'll see if I can find it. It's just simply, how would you rate the 5 swords in cube? And I don't know. Like, I think it's interesting. Like, it's.
I remember this question on Twitter.
Yeah, and I think I've been I remember asking it for a while, and like, I need to just ask this like on the blog. Get some, like, get it recorded, and
We'll definitely direct our listener base. Check out Usman's blog. Go ahead and vote. There's actually 5 polls all on that front page where you can say, this is the best sword, this is the second best sword, this is the worst sword, so on and so forth. Let's get some more data into those polls so we can try to get a better idea as a community. Our cube doesn't really apply because we've taken blue and green out of the equation because we've don't like it.
Broken the symmetry.
Yeah. But that's all what cube is about, knowing when there are cycles and when there aren't cycles and knowing why. So yeah, you check that out. Now, what's with the regularity of your podcast, you and Anthony? What's up with that?
Essentially whenever we can. Like, there's no like regularity, unfortunately. It's essentially whenever like our availability intersects. Like, I think I tried doing it last week, but he was in Vegas, like playing actual Magic. So I was like, oh yeah, don't think I'd be able to. But essentially whenever we can. We've got some ideas in the docket or whatever. I think we've been meaning to do like an episode just like all Crack-a-Packs or something like that, and something.
It's what the fans really want anyway.
I don't know. You gotta ask Eck. I have to imagine he gets pretty tired of saying card names out loud for hours.
Yeah, that does get old.
And I gotta say,
I never had it too bad. Like, do you guys usually like type it up like in like do you guys ever end up having to like type the names to each other? Like, here's Sword of Peace and Famine, Indrik Stomp Powder. Like, I would imagine that part would get. Like, I remember when having to do that for the blog polls, like, that would get sometimes a little annoying. It's like, Manic Vandal, Siege Gang Commander, it's like that. That would sometimes get a little. But, I mean, it's not like.
We just do it like, I sit around and wait for an email to show up, and then Tristan sends me a list of here's what the packs are, and then I MS Paint them together, and then
there you go.
Yeah,
no, it's just all about finding the right tone with which to deliver to the audio audience. Because using your show as an example, I would usually try to like have a WordPad document open if I was on my computer, and then like type out all the cards as you guys are talking about them, so I didn't get like 6 cards deep and forget what the first one was, or just not have the whole picture. I think when you're listening to it, that becomes really, really difficult. Where it's like, oh, that one card stood out to me, but really, what's in that pack?
Yeah.
Was that Gyre Sage? Was that a Gyre Sage, or was that a Devoted Druid?
Yeah,
I
can't imagine like listening to an entire pack of booster cards and then being able to recall like what the third one was.
I mean,
I would have to take notes.
Yeah, well, what you do is you just go back and just listen to our old initial episodes.
Oh yeah,
and just try to figure it out. Follow your pacing.
Yeah.
Zach kept asking me about them the other week, and I was like, I don't remember. That's why they exist
5
on the
months
internet.
ago. Yeah.
Yeah, I have no idea what's on the like earlier episodes or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to think of what I thought of Card X, and thinking like, I know I thought I remember saying Etherling was good when it came out, like when it was first spoiled, because I remember testing it. I'm like, all right, kids, let's try this out, and I'm like, this card's probably good, and somebody got it in like a blue X control deck. I think it was either Jameer or Azorius, and I asked like, hey, how did that end up going? He's like, really good. And I think he's like, yeah, so my opponent had Bonfire and it did nothing, and he couldn't kill it. And the opponent had kind of a slower red deck, and it, just completely just rolled him over. I'm like, all right, that sounds pretty good. I'll keep it in there.
I don't think since we've been doing this show we've had any just absolute complete misses.
I'm willing to admit to one.
Go on.
Catch a release.
Oh, right, you thought that was going to be good.
I talked you into catch a release.
Yeah.
Why is that card? So it ended up just being just straight up bad?
Oh my god, there's just no way.
I mean, fusing it is like physically impossible. Like 9 mana, 3 colors is just, it's too much. And
did you ever just use it as just like a? Is it
threatened?
threatened?
When was it?
Yeah.
When it was? That was the only time it was actually ever.
Yeah,
cast.
no one ever released. People only caught.
In order to get a card advantage on releasing, it was some bad.
You had to go through a lot of hoops to cast a 6-mana sorcery.
I mean,
to,
really, to me, I felt like I was just trolling with that card. Was we'd had arguments on the cast and outside of the cast about cards like Damia Sage of Stone, and I would try to defend it, and Eck thinks it's a piece of garbage.
Because it is.
Are you familiar with this card?
Damia? Yeah, I remember you defended it. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever played with or against this card?
The answer is no, because it's horrible.
No, that's not a ringing endorsement for my side of the camp.
Yeah. So I mean, the whole argument was well, Damia Sage of Stone is garbage. Okay, suggest a better 3-color card, and I was like, Dragon's Bane is about to come out. How about one of the split cards? Yeah. They were like, catch release. Really? We do all kinds of crazy stuff with that thing. And, I kind of, hyped it up enough.
8 weeks later.
Yeah, it's been cast, a total of 1 time.
Yep.
That was an absolute bust.
It's okay.
Oh.
It's okay. Yeah, I'd rather we'd played Beck and Call or something, but it's okay. It's okay. We haven't been
other good tricolor cards, you guys probably already have the obvious ones, like the Steel Winds and all those things.
We have Steel Wind, we have Jaramar's Charm, Broodmate Dragon,
Hellkite Overlord, but that barely counts.
Bant Charm.
Yeah, just say it's more for reanimation shenanigans.
Yeah. Nicol Bolas, Planeswalker.
Cruel Ultimatum.
Bant Charm.
I think we're missing 2. The point is that there isn't so much uniformity there. There isn't a lot of restriction over it. At the same time, I feel like we could play 3 Bant cards, 3 Grixis cards, 4 Esper cards. Yeah. And that doesn't really feel very fair to the rest of the color combinations.
Yeah.
So we try to mix it up a little bit, but
we were playing Doran for a long time.
We're not currently playing Doran. The kind of that Naya Zoo shell has kind of left because we cut cards like Wild Nacatl and Kirdape recently.
I'm fine with Doran coming back though because I love dirty junk decks like that. I'm always survivaling and playing green, white, black. He would go into every deck I ever draft.
Yeah, the only reason I really like Doran, other than being a 5/5 for 5, is that he has such an impact on the way the game is played.
He's so unique.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, again, we were barreling towards the end of the show, and we got a little bit sidetracked here.
And then a roadblock happened.
That's okay. I am doing the rounds right now, just kind of crashing everyone's podcasts that I am familiar with. So the next
one that will have you.
Yes, I am banging on the door.
Excuse me, are you podcasting right
now? And the Third Power is definitely on my list of places to stop by because not only have I been on your guys' show before, but I feel like it's one of the few arenas where I have a decent knowledge base with which to expend. So hopefully you guys will be able to hook that up sometime soon. And then, as I was surprised to learn by the Twitterverse, there are people out there that are interested in a full-blown powwow of the Magic Box plus the Third Power, and hopefully all 4 of us could have a conversation.
A meeting of the cube minds, as it were.
Yes.
Yeah, that would be pretty sick.
Yeah, I would enjoy that thoroughly.
Should have a cube summit.
Exactly. We'll just fly everyone out to sunny California, and we'll play some Magic.
Yeah, so we don't have to go anywhere?
Well, where were we going to? St. Louis? Was it nice there?
Yeah, I was about to say, what are you going to
Yeah, good call. Okay. I like where your head's at.
Well, obviously, we can draft on the beach. What's wrong? Not that I recommend it.
Yeah.
I would imagine that would get kind of bad.
I mean, the store we play at is a 5-minute walk from the ocean.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. It only sucks for tourist traffic. On a nice, sunny, breezy, ocean breeze Saturday afternoon when everyone and their mom is coming from the desert or the valley of California out to the coast to jam the beach, we're fighting traffic to sit in a room with nerds and play Magic.
Yeah,
so it's
not ideal.
It's a little bit of a strange duality, but we love it because afterwards we can smell the ocean, which is very nice.
Nice.
So there you have it. Again, thank you very much, Usman, for being on the show. Thank you for working with us trying to figure out exactly how this works for us, trying to have a guest. Those of you that are watching, these are the speakers that he's coming through to us right now. These are X cans as I hold them up to the.
I tried to have a more sophisticated setup, and it didn't really go well.
It's okay. We're putting those tens of donation dollars to good use for our headphones. bam.
I
I'm
guess more donations. Oh, by the way, thank you guys for having me on. I forgot to say, but
Oh.
yeah, this has been pretty awesome.
I really feel like you've put up with us. I mean, you spent an
Put up
extra
with-
an extra half hour as we alternated talking to you from Who Could Hear You.
Yeah.
We're keeping you up way past whatever your bedtime would be.
Are you kidding? This is my normal bedtime.
It's past all of our bedtimes.
Look, we're trying to have sympathy for you. We'll just keep dragging it out if nothing's going to stop us.
I mean, I'm down.
Well, we'll remember that. You will be the guest in the can because
5-hour podcast.
as we go to a more late night schedule, which is not by choice for us, but is kind of how we have free time to do it. Our live viewership suffers a lot, and thank everyone in the Twitch stream right now for being with us. You guys have really.
For those currently watching live, also 4 more followers and we hit the magic 200 number, which actually means nothing but would look cool. So
Yeah.
There you have it. That's extra quest of the week.
Yeah.
Please follow us on Twitch. I will say you can find us every week at Twitch. I always fuck this up. Twitch.tv/Ekamon. I can say Ekamon. I can spell it perfectly. Check out ekamon.blogspot.com for everything exciting, like the cube list, the skeleton cube list for everyone who's interested in starting a cube. Some new cube pictures should be going up soon from the Cube League. We've got obviously all the episodes go up there, but you're already listening to this anyway, so you figured that out. Lots more new exciting content to come to that blog in the near future. As soon as some of us have more free time, we're going to update it to look a little more classy, and as soon as some of us get off our asses and we go get our logo. But until then, you can find us there. We're on MTGcast still every week. You can find us there. And hopefully I'll be crashing enough podcasts in the future soon that there'll be an even larger audience. Again, after the fact, you can find us on YouTube. We're still looking for a good place to kind of get the conversation started for things. And you can also email us at draftcube@gmail.com if you have any questions, concern, hate mail, love mail, dick pics, etc. All of these things will be looked at by somebody. So there you have it. That is the sped up version of all of the would-be plugs and whatnot. So anything else before we take off tonight, boys?
I think I'm good.
Sapphire or Lotus? Pick one, pack one.
Sapphire.
Sapphire.
Wow, well, you guys are the only two.
Lock
so.
it up. Lock it up. Great minds.
You bet.
Great minds.
Turn it off now before the rest of the